Hello and welcome to your favorite Saturday night programming where we'll stay up till morning. We'll throw the after party. Oh yeah, of course Liz has been kidnapped by FEMA this week and cannot join us, so I will be your host this evening. But worry not, I am joined by my partners in crime, Misa, Jar Jar, and Alexis, like all the other girls. Blake, how are we doing tonight, friends?
You worked on that one.
Whoa. That was smooth,
I actually
dude.
remembered for once that I was hosting this week, so I did prepare an intro. Be proud of me. I'm very proud of myself.
I also feel like we actually made that decision ahead of time. When usually, I feel like 10 minutes before the show, we're like, Sly, you're hosting, right?
As per usual. How are we doing tonight, friends?
I'm good. My room is purple now. It was not this color before.
Amazing.
It's good. It's so much brighter in here, and it makes me look like I'm not living in a cave as much, which I really enjoy.
No caves today for Marissa. Alexis, any caves on your end?
No, I am realizing though that I'm the same color as my wall. But other than that, everything's fine.
All right, of course we're talking all things Only Murders episode 9, all things She-Hulk episode 1, but before we get to those, let's chat about the other things we've been enjoying this week. Marissa, you've been watching a lot of things. What have you been watching?
I confession time, honesty hour. I finally watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. It took way too long for me to watch it, but I did it and I loved it. And I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm weeping like a baby. And then I watched A League of Their Own. Not the movie, the series, the new Prime Video series. Also weeps like a baby at that. So I would recommend both of them.
It was Marissa's week for crying. Welcome to the team. Alexis, what have you been up to?
Well, I watched the trailer for Wednesday, the Netflix series centered around Wednesday Addams, and I had mixed reactions to it. I'm a big fan of the Addams Family. I have gone as Wednesday on way too many Halloweens, but I feel like part of the draw for me of the original was that the humor was played like so straight, and that a lot of the gore and those aspects of the horror were kind of teased and almost made fun of, rather than being presented as something that was very realistic. And I think from the trailer, the Tim Burton version is kind of going in that route. I will say, however, I did highly enjoy Wednesday's reaction to socializing with people, in which she focused on stabbing them instead. That was very relatable. I felt very seen.
A mood.
Yeah, a mood. And I also started my much anticipated Ghost Whisperer rewatch in keeping up my trend of watching shows from like 20 years ago. And I've been enjoying it so far.
I thought you were going to say you started your much anticipated grad school program.
Well, that as well. I did do that this week. Listen, this week was supposed to be an easy grad school week. It wasn't. We're still recovering. But my classes don't technically start until Monday. So while it started and I had to do office hours, it also doesn't super feel like it started, right? But yes.
We love that for you. Very excited. We love a return to education.
Yeah.
We'll see
Yeah.
if I ever get around to it. But I also texted you about a very old show this week that I might start soon that I have not gotten to yet. But we'll talk about that if I get to it.
Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah.
But I have been enjoying all of the fanfics, all of them. Usually, when I like get in the mood for fan fiction, I go for a very specific niche. Right, I'll like go to a certain ship or a certain tag and just dive through those. Right, this week I have been all over the place. I watched X-Men First Class for MC University, and then I immediately had to
plot.
find fan fiction and for the plot. So I read a bunch of First Class fics. I read some Harry Potter fan fiction.
They sure
Unfortunately,
did.
I read a Captain America fanfic, some more Teen Wolf. I've just been all over the place. And so that's what I've been enjoying, right? You know what I haven't been enjoying? The fact that my TikTok live access got banned, which is my rant of the week this week. If you don't know, every week we bring up this terrifying timer that my heart starts beating faster every time I see it. It's fine. Where we pick something from our week to rant about in 2 minutes total over the course of 4 30-second intervals. I'm ranting about my TikTok live access being banned. Marissa, what are you ranting about?
Party princesses.
We love a party princess. And Alexis?
911 cats.
We love cats. This really is so on brand for all of us with the rants this week. Love that for us. All right, are we ready to kick this thing off?
Yeah.
Shake it out a little bit, loosen up, big breath. All right, so this week I was co-hosting a fun little TikTok live with the one and only JJ, of course. You know what it is. It's Thirsty Thursdays. And about 17 minutes in, we had to call it quits because I got disconnected from live. I got a hateful behavior violation, which is really fun because I was talking about queer media, as a queer person, but
So I am a birthday party princess. I don't know if people know this about me. I don't know how you wouldn't know it about me because I never shut up about it. But I've been very busy princessing lately, and I just wanted to take a minute to unpack it. And mainly the fact that party princesses are not your babysitter. If you're going to hire a party princess, we came there to do a job. We did not come there to supervise your children. That is your job. We have a specific set of entertainment that we.
So, for some reason, by some strike of good fortune, I have been blessed with some very fantastic 911 Twitter mutuals. And I've just kind of started basing my rants off of whatever the topic of conversation becomes. So last week, the topic of conversation was, and I quote, Eddie Diaz's little spin kick. And this week, the topic of conversation was Eddie Diaz being a little cat dad.
So here's the thing. I went back and reviewed the video from the live to think, like, what could I have possibly said that could constitute hateful behavior? You know what it was? We were talking about X-Men all big queer, and I was like, anyways, we're here to talk about some other fucking gays or something like that. Very affectionately, right? Because we were talking about the TBL Bad Buddy, as we do every week.
So when you hire a party princess, at least for me, we come to your child's birthday party with a set package of activities that we are going to do that we tell you about beforehand. And it's your responsibility to corral your children, your guests at your party, to participate in those activities. If those children decide not to participate in those activities, they are not my responsibility. Do not leave them unattended with a party princess. That's not our job. And we are not responsible.
Now, I think there are a lot of reasons that this has come up, right? We talked last week about the cat, Captain Bobby Nash, Bobbi, that was adopted on the 911 set because it was found sleeping on one of the 118 trucks. There have been fanfics written about Eddie Diaz being a cat dad in the past. And, like, here's the thing. there are lots of things that happen in fanon that are clear, logical lines for me. Like, for example,
here's the thing. I get the idea of, having to work with an algorithm to moderate your platform, and I get the idea of like anything that may come across as aggressive towards minority groups should be taken down. And this is the second time I've gotten a live violation. The previous one was immediately restored like a couple hours later. But I existing as a queer person talking about queer things is not hateful.
So also, at least the way my parties run, we have specific like little special moments with your birthday child. And if you miss those moments because you're not paying attention or you're in a completely different room or we're outside and you're literally inside the house and you don't get a picture of it, I'm sorry, that's your fault. Your child had a wonderful and special experience at their birthday party and you didn't get to see it. And that's too bad and so sad and I'm so sorry for you. What else?
Ravi thinking Eddie and Buck are divorced dads. Total logical line for me. Eddie Diaz incompetency. Total logical line for me. I don't know that the Eddie Diaz is a cat dad thing is a logical line for me. I think largely because I have to struggle against the idea that Ryan Guzman does not give cat dad vibes. But here's the thing. I would like to pitch you a better cat dad story. I think the better way to go with this.
So, like, I'm just bitching. I'm sure it'll eventually get resolved. But if y'all want to go harass TikTok, that'd be appreciated. I'm just really sad that I don't get to yell about my favorite gays on TikTok without getting restricted. So yeah, that's it. Want. What was me?
I
don't know-
hate
I don't
when I
have
get
anything
extra
else.
time. Please fill your time.
Sorry.
Fill your time. Oh no. Okay. All of this being said, I love my job very, very much, and I love putting smiles on children's faces. And it is the rare opportunity where this sort of situation happens. And almost all the parties that I do are wonderful, and I have so much fun. And I really love my job, and I would hate for this to get me fired. And long live the party princess. I don't know.
All right, listen, I want a cat on the show. I think Captain Bobby Nash should be on the show. But I think maybe instead of Eddie being the heroic cat rescuing cat father, that we should just split custody of the cat between Eddie and Buck. I think the cat should obviously be rescued in front of Christopher. And then I think the cat should just like go back and forth. I think there are some funny bits there with a rabid cat in the car that I would love to see.
All right, here's the thing. I love that for you. I find it hilarious to me that the Eddie Diaz competency kink was a straight line for you, but Eddie Diaz as a cat dad was not, because I posed
I
the
know.
former,
I
and
know.
so many people disagree with me. So I love it. Makes me happy that was a linear line for you.
Listen, I think it was a linear line for a lot of. I think that the Eddie Diaz as a cat dad thing was a linear line for a lot of people. It's not the most linear line for me. I think
sorry. Just
no, go.
The thought that popped into my head is fanon Eddie Diaz, cat dad, linear line. Canon Eddie Diaz, cat dad, does not connect.
No, and I think there's a pretty, I'll say, or a pretty popular fanfic where Eddie Diaz is a cat dad that somebody may have sent me. And as much as I love that fic, Eddie does spend a little bit of time being annoyed with the cat and its existence, and it kind of made me sad. And like overall, it was great because I loved the rest of the fic, but I just keep hyperfixating on like Ryan Guzman's like annoyed at the cat face and how I would like. There are already some things I haven't forgiven Eddie for. There are already some things I haven't forgiven Eddie for, and I don't want to add that one to the list.
I just want to set the record straight. I do not blame you. It is not your fault, Bunky. You are not the reason I got banned. It is TikTok's fault for hating the gays. Listen, we are big fans of the gays. We are the gays. We
You did say that like you were a third party. Like, I'm an ally. Sly's an ally.
ally.
Speak, Sly, speak.
With that, let's hop into our other favorite gays. Only murders in the building.
That one didn't work. I'm sorry.
I tried. That was a rough one. But anyways. I forgot I made banners. Hold on. Can we indulge me for a second?
Mhm.
I
I'm so
made
sorry.
banners.
Breaking
I just needed
news.
to show that off. Yeah, let's talk about only murders. Oh crap, we need the we need to go back here, huh?
Oh crap, I forgot we had to do this.
Oh.
Me too.
Hold on. The day I learned that Slide cheats at this game was the best day because I had been doing
we
this.
were all cheating. I thought we
I thought we
been
were all
doing it
going off our notes as well.
Oh, I've been doing it off of straight memory and it was not going well. This is where we try and recap the episode in a minute. In a minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds each.
Usually 2 minutes, but Liz isn't here, so we'll use the last 30 seconds as chaos, throw in whatever we forgot segment.
Okay.
All right, and for reference, I am looking at my notes when I do this recap.
But I would like to say that our notes are not.
They're not helpful.
They're not helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, ready
My
for
notes
this?
just include what? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, even now, I don't know what that was in reference to.
Yeah.
Even better. All right, I'm kicking this off. So we start off, we got the Krebs is doing the opening monologue. Everybody's been doing a different monologue. It starts with them stealing evidence, which honestly really on brand. I was not surprised by anything about that. Then we get Oliver telling Will he's his biological son, which we later find out was a fucking lie.
Oh, yeah.
The birdcage makes an appearance. Oliver tries to pawn off the bird, and there's a secret compartment with the painting. Alice comes back, and she brings a puzzle.
And then, oh no! Shirley MacLaine is back as Bunny's mom, but is she actually Bunny's mom? Nope, she's Rose Cooper. Whoa, who could have seen that coming? Then Oliver is still a liar, and he's a lying little liar. And then we go to a boxing gym that Alexis has a lot of thoughts about. And the boxing gym is called Excessive Force Boxing Gym, which is the opposite
Wait,
of
was I supposed to interrupt you? I feel like I was.
Yes.
Go now!
Yeah, I was supposed
Go
to.
now.
So there's a boxing gym, and Mabel goes to Excessive Force Boxing Gym, and without ever putting her hands up, she kind of baits the cop into this kind of interrogation where he ends up giving up a bunch of information, and then she realizes that she needs to go back home and put together the puzzle and re-listen to Only Murder or All Is Okay in Oklahoma. All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma.
And we got a lot of information from that. We got the freelance police coming back. We got the fucking chicken logo. We see the paintings, the 2 paintings. And then come on, help me out.
Oliver tells Teddy.
Becky Butler. Sorry.
Poppy is Becky Butler.
Poppy is
Becky Butler is not. Becky Butler is alive. And Cinda Canning is not good news. Also, Oliver tells Teddy that he's Will's biological father, and then they just agree to never talk about it again, which makes no sense.
Well, and I don't think that's a thing. I think it is going to come up again.
For sure. Whoa, sorry. I just kicked my table.
You are so good. But yeah, that's our attempt at a recap.
That was really stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And we got a lot of information this week. We got lots of new evidence. We got lots of new characters. I have not updated the board at all. So we're just gonna freestyle with it.
Yeah.
I am so freaking proud of myself that I fucking called Rose Cooper and Lenora being the same person.
Yeah.
I was like, Sly is right.
I
And
was
I don't
so
know if they
fucking-
meant to be right or if they were just confused, but they were right.
I was just confused, but I was right.
I have this thing in television where I have a hard time with character names and I have a hard time with faces. Like I have a tendency to be a little like face blind. So in my head, I was like, Sly just thought they were the same person because Sly is also,
Yeah.
It was a
Love
good
that.
twist. I liked it. I knew she
that
had to come
twist
back.
I was a fan of. Yeah.
She had to come back. So it was a good reason for her to come back.
And we got to see a little detective work from Brazos, which was
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
still can't believe that Andrea Martin was only in one episode. I do not believe that, but I think it might be true. She does live in New York. They film in New York. I guess it could be whatever. I'm just sad about it.
You're so valid.
Thank
We
you.
also haven't seen Amy Schumer come back.
I know.
which
How
is a
many
little
times
weird.
did we see Sting? We saw Sting like 3 times, right?
In my head, I had twice, but I would 3. Yeah.
He was like a person of interest at a certain point, though, wasn't he? Like they.
Yeah. He was the suspect at one point.
Yeah.
And that's why they went to syndicating in the first place.
Right.
Speaking
And
of,
his name came up a lot.
I don't remember season 1. Speaking of,
okay, so I transitioned and then I faded out of that transition because we kept talking, and then we stopped like I was gonna continue the transition and talk about.
I thought you were talking to a ghost
fine.
for a second. I got really spooked out.
Anyways, speaking of syndicating, lots of shit went down. And we have a new suspect for who we think might have done it. And of course it's my week to pick. So my suspect is the fucking chicken. Listen,
absolutely.
there's nothing more devious than a franchise.
Mm.
Especially like a local franchise that's not like globalized, right?
Yeah.
There's something so devious about the existence of like isolated franchises. So I'm convinced that Bonnie Folger was murdered by the chicken.
I'm going to back you and say that I feel like there is a lot of deviousness in small town bars, of which this was. I don't feel like you go there for good things to happen. Like even the networking is not generally on the up and up. So yeah, I'm gonna back you there. Also in my notes, for no reason that's understandable to me now, I have written simply the phrase "I'm vegan," as if I was reminding myself of that life choice. I don't know what made me uncomfortable enough to write that, but it says, "Is his lover Cinda Kenning?" And then the next line is, "I'm vegan," and then after that it says, "Well, that was a dumb plot." So I'm gonna use that as evidence to back your chicken theory.
All right.
Okay.
I will accept it.
I also have evidence to back your chicken theory, based on how I came to my conclusion of who the killer was season 1. So because Bunny was the only person that was outside of the building at the end of the opening credits, I thought she was the person that Stabby stabbed. Stabby stabbed? Is that how he died? No, he was poisoned or he was pew-pewed. I don't remember.
Yeah, pew-pewed.
Great.
So.
Anyway, I was like, well, she's outside and everybody else is like in the building, whatever. That didn't end up being true, but she was stabby stabbed. And in this episode's opening credits, she's walking a chicken.
There you
She
go.
was walking a dog in season 1, and then in season 2, she started walking Mrs. Gambolini. But in this episode, she's just straight up walking a chicken. And I followed up that note with, I told you the credits are important. So
we all listened. We agreed with you. We backed you on the credits being important. But yeah, with that, we should probably talk about like the legitimate suspects we have here, right?
yeah.
The chicken is a legitimate suspect.
Well, the chicken is directly connected to the legitimate suspects.
On the very rare chance that it's not whoever is the chicken mascot, who unalived Bunny, there is the like a ways below, but the next level of suspect, of course, is the duo of Detective Krebs, dirty cop who destroyed evidence, and Mastermind Cinda Canning, who made a podcast about somebody being unalived who is still realived. That doesn't work. Anyways.
And very distinctly in this episode, won a Peabody for that podcast. They really put a pin in that. And we've mentioned it before, but it's been a little unclear as to like whether she just won a Peabody for her work or like whatever. And in this episode, they say again, like, and won a Peabody for All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma. So I think that is that was important to me. Okay.
It is important.
Yeah.
She's a legitimate journalist that is doing bad journalism. Well, she's not doing journalism. She's making up stories.
She's presenting fiction as if it was legitimate journalism.
Yes.
Which I think is even more devious.
Oh, absolutely. It's like conniving and twisty in a way that I really enjoy as a viewer, but it's not a good behavior. It's not good behavior. It's not a productive member of society.
Yeah, for sure. Now that we're nearing the end of Only Murders season 2, I think we should talk about what are our thoughts, prediction, theories on the final episode and where it'll go in season 3.
Ooh.
Big asks. And if it makes you feel better, I did not prep for this at all, so I'm right there with you. I think my biggest prediction is that we'll get more of the fan club in season 3, and they will continue to underutilize Ali Stroker, and I will continue to be pissed about it. That's my first prediction.
I think I want the finale to have like a big, well, I guess, okay. I think actually probably, this is what I'll say. I think in the finale, there's going to be a How I Did It monologue. And the trio is going to think that they're recording it, but they're actually not. And then Cinda Canning is just going to totally get away with it.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't think she's going to face any repercussions for anything she's done.
Agreed.
Given her position of power and her, what is the word? Association? I don't know. With Krebs, as he exists within a position of power. That is the word, affiliation. Thank you.
Drunk.
Everyone's looking at me.
Well, you started talking and then I kept talking, so
no,
sorry.
you're good. I think one of the things that to me was really interesting about like the first season into the second season was that like it really did feel like the first batch of the case was wrapped up, and then this was kind of a new story. And like there have been things that like All Is Not Okay that have like looped back through, right? But it really kind of felt like distinct case. And I'm anticipating that the ending of the season will not feel that way. Like I think a lot of this is going to continue into the third season rather than starting the third season with some sort of other murder in the building. But going off of what you said, Marissa, what I would like to see, I think, in the finale is because we don't know if our other cop friends are aware of the association with Cinda, right? And so I would like to see some of that like come to a head that then again, my expectation is that there will be no repercussions for because he's already a dirty cop in New York. Although he has a really weird interpretation of what dirty cops in New York actually look like. But that's neither here nor there. I was like, man, you're a baby in the dirty cop world. Like there are full documentaries about dirty cops in New York making so much money off of, so much mob money off of drug deals that they forgot to cash their legitimate policing checks. And you're stealing evidence and trying to convince me that you're a big bad is just... Also, keep your hands up when you're in the fucking boxing ring.
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll definitely see more of Detective Williams in this finale and how she reacts to it. I really hope they do something cool and interesting and powerful with her. I don't know if they will, but that's the hope. I'm really disappointed by the lack of murders this season. I wanted more murders in the building. But I agree.
Sly's ongoing.
Sly's like number one prediction was
more murders.
Exponentially more murders in the building.
Yes, it was.
The emphasis was the word exponentially.
It was. I was wrong, as we can tell. I also don't think we'll get another murder at the end of this season, unfortunately.
I think we will.
And it will be Amy Schumer.
No, I think it'll be somebody that doesn't live in the building, but is murdered in the building.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Who do we know outside of the building, though?
I don't think it's going to be somebody that we really
Ivan,
know. No. I think
Alice Stroker.
I think it's going to be like a very tangentially related person that we might not have even met yet, like a walk-on in episode 9 that doesn't live in the building but does die in the building.
I can also see it being Ivan, though. I can see like the plot line where Ivan overhears part of like this Cinda discussion, or Cinda came to the deli with her detective friend, and so now he is deemed somebody that needs to be taken care of and gets taken care of in the building.
What if it's Jared? Oh. We haven't seen Jared since the baby episode.
That's Suit Man, right?
Suit Man, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would feel bad for Nina.
She deserves
but
better than
that does kind of track with the because I don't think it would be Ivan because Ivan is too likable.
See, that's what I was going for. I think it would make people sad.
But that's not how they do it. It's like people that nobody really likes.
Like everybody hated Bunny, and everybody hated Tip Kono.
Yeah.
I would love for it to be somebody we like and care about. I think that would be compelling. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Who is our favorite, briefly appeared character from this season, do we think? I think mine is the makeup artist from Process.
Andrea Martin. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was gonna say there aren't that many because I feel like there aren't. I feel like everybody that has been introduced has been weirdly significant for some reason.
Except for Amy Schumer.
Except for Amy Schumer.
Well, and we've been introduced very briefly to lots of other local artists that were then never relevant ever again. And one of them even like spoke to Alice, like interrupted Alice at the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And then
yeah.
Nada.
I feel like any of those people I don't remember because they were so blink and you'll miss. I don't know.
That's fair. Do we think... Here's the thing. It has to be a fact that Will is going to find out about the lie. Like, that... It's Chekhov's lie at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll happen this next episode. I think it'll be next season. How are we feeling about that?
I agree. Tangentially related, I am very connected. Unlike other people on this live show right now, I am very invested in this Wizard of Oz production.
Oh.
And I would like to see part of this Wizard of Oz production in the finale come to fruition. Like, if I don't get to see part of this damn play, I'm going to be very upset. Just like a tiny bit of
play. So badly.
So bad. The line about Dorothy, like fourth grade Dorothy almost staging a walkout because the Scarecrow was played by a neurotypical actor, like, took me out. I need it.
I don't understand its role. I don't understand what it is serving.
Oh, I don't think it's serving anything, but
which is why I don't like it.
So
I think it's serving the vessel of the theme is parents, and we're gonna shove down parents down your throat as much as we can, and it's way for Will to connect with his parent, and that's why it's there. I think that's what it's serving. But also, now I'm invested. Let me see the damn production.
I would edit that statement that the theme is fathers.
Dads.
Yeah, dads. I do think it's
I was
interesting.
trying to be inclusive.
Oh, but nobody cares
show
about
hasn't
moms.
been inclusive.
Fathers.
Yes. I do find it interesting because I think the first season paid more attention to their relationship to each other. Like the three of them as a unit. And I really wanted this season to expand on that. I think this season has lost that a little bit in its attempt to make us care about them individually and then their individual relationships, which does not work as well for me as focusing on the three of them as a unit.
Yeah, they don't spend that much time together.
Well, it's like we've harped on it for, I don't know, 9 episodes, but like until episode 8, I wasn't sure they were still taping the podcast anymore. I really wasn't. Like, it came up in the first episode and then it wasn't mentioned again. And I was like, oh my God, are they still? Whoever brought up having the boom mic in the catacombs has now ruined me, because the fact that we didn't get that is really.
It would have been so much better.
But it's so funny. Yeah. All right. We have some incredible notes here that you all do not get to enjoy, that we get to laugh at while we're recording. And so I want us to each pull out our favorite notes from somebody else's notes.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I pitched this
So
game and didn't prepare for it.
I'm going to pull my favorite Alexis quote and my favorite Marissa quote.
Okay.
Let me see. I didn't prepare for this either. I had so many thoughts in my brain, and I did not get myself actually ready for any of them to happen, which I feel is just me doing my best to channel Liz's energy and not doing it as successfully as Liz does it.
She's had more practice.
She really has.
Okay, I have my answers.
Perfect.
Damn.
Marissa,
y'all
kick
are
us
funny.
off
It's easy. Okay. For Alexis, classic Marissa, I'm changing the rules of the game, but I have to give 2 because they're in succession. Alice is alive. This is all in caps, by the way.
No,
Editorializing. Alice is alive. She has greatly fallen in my estimation, but she's alive.
Incredible.
Thank God Alexis finally admits that Alice sucks.
My favorite Alexis note is also in all caps. And
God.
it's, I'm not listening until you put your fucking hands up.
That was also
You really bothered me. And I don't know who takes mitts into a boxing ring with their shoes on. I don't understand televisions. Like television as a whole seems to be fixated on boxing, and yet no one has ever apparently experienced it. Ever. I don't understand. Sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
We should note
This is
that
your
note
rant.
is
Go for it.
that is one of probably like 25 notes about the boxing in this episode.
We have this thing at the gym I used to teach at where if you put, like, when I was teaching students, if they put their hands down, like even like if we were working on kicks and they put their hands down, they got bunny foo-foo bopped on the head. Because if you're in the ring and your hands go down, you get punched in the face and it's a bad look. And it was so clear that they were putting their hands down because the way the camera was set, that was the only way they were going to like get an angle at their face. But he is so mad at her and he is such a bad person. It makes no sense to me that if he is trying to prove his machismo, that he did not sock her in the face the second she put her hands down, and vice versa. It's stupidity. Also, I don't know who in their right mind who goes to a cardio boxing class chooses to put boxing gloves from a male-dominated, icky, excessive force boxing gym on their pretty hands without wraps. Did you not go prepared at all? Sorry, I'm done.
You're good. No, I'm giving you space for all of your boxing rants to occur here. Did you get them all out of your system?
Really upset. Yeah. Well, yeah.
See,
Okay.
She also didn't hold the bag correctly, but yeah.
well, here's the thing
There
about
you
the
go.
cardio boxing class thing. From my estimation, a cardio boxing class is not actual boxing. It's just boxing moves like
Shadow boxing.
like Zumba.
Mm-hmm. You typically
just
still wear
punching and
gloves
kicking.
because the gloves are weighted. So like every cardio boxing class I've been to, you and taught, you wear wraps and gloves because your gloves are a certain amount of ounces, 12 if you're a baby, and then it goes up from there. So they add, well, it's true. They add weight resistance with your cardio boxing.
It's a great point. That's why you're here, Alexis.
We love a Alexis Spider education moment.
Hell
Now,
yeah.
because I'm the host and I can do whatever I want, I'm gonna make y'all say nice things about me. What are your favorite notes from mine?
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know that it's a nice thing,
Oh God.
but my favorite is hold on. Oh no, where is it? Yeah. Why can't the gays ever be happy?
What I was going to say. I also, okay, so I have two.
You don't want to go first. You never want to go first. That's why you
know.
need to go first.
I know. One is serious. And that is that when I was watching the episode, I was like, oh God, I'm not even going to write this down because I know Sly will write it down. And it's Song Criminal by Fiona Apple.
Oh, that was so great.
Very connected to the post credits. And the second is just because I clearly missed something, but it just says Krebs number 71855.
That's his phone number. Okay. Here's the thing. I was going to go back and see if we ever saw the phone number that they got the text from, and then I
Ah,
didn't
okay,
because I was
right.
lazy. But I wanted it written down to see if I could like cross-reference to see if Krebs's phone number was the same as the number they got the text from, and then I just forgot about it. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think it threw me because I'm so used to hearing like people's call signs that to me I
Mm-hmm.
was like 727L30. Like I kept like looking, I tried to read it that way, and that was not the way it was meant to be read. Sorry, it's fine.
You're fine. All right. Marissa's
Marissa.
notes.
Oh.
Huh. Ha ha ha. Oh. Okay. I have two that I like. So I'm gonna go with my first one, and then Alexis, if you don't do the other one, I'll mention it at the end.
No, do two, because then I'll
Okay.
I've got like 6. So you do 2, I'll do 2.
All right,
Thanks, I'm
my
very
first one
funny.
here is that's a fancy little cocktail.
And I heard it in Marissa's voice when I read it.
Exactly.
It looked very fancy.
And then the one immediately after was, oh good, a generational lecture.
Yeah. Mine are less important. I just think they were really hysterical to like read through. And one is after where is Andrea Martin is he. I have no clue what that was in reference to.
I also have no clue what that's in reference to.
And then later, and I do think I at the time was like, oh, I know what that's in reference to. I don't remember now. Is in all capital letters, the fuck? Which is about the time I was like, hey, we should all read out each other's notes because they're funny.
But we all have essentially the same note at that point in the episode.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the literal fuck do I have to apologize to this show? Was Alexis's. The fuck? I kind of hate that I think this was all worth it was mine. And then Slides is just
eloquent.
Slides is straight to the point. Poppy is Becky Butler.
Song Criminal by Fiona Apple.
Slide puts actual valuable information in their notes, and we're just like,
And truly watches through the end of the episode. Like I was literally like, the fuck? Sly will get the end credits.
I will say we got another puzzle piece at the end credits. And I only know this because a couple weeks ago I went through and found screenshots of all the end credits that had puzzle pieces to make into a thumbnail. So we got another one here. Very exciting. All right. With that, let's jump in to our next show of the evening. We're talking about a little She-Hulk episode 1. How are we feeling?
so good. So good. And I think I'm the only one.
I think how it ranks is Marissa is very positive. I'm positive neutral, and Alexis is neutral. Would we agree with that classification?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a complicated thing to break down, right? Because I think I can feel positively about the show and it still not be a show. It's still not be my show. Like, it's still not be a show that I would have chosen by myself. I think it is Marissa's show. It's not my show.
For sure.
But I do feel positively about it. It's just, it's not Art Thieves, okay?
No.
And that kind of
It's
shit.
not Art Thieves. Nobody has a knife yet.
Yeah.
Art Thieves. Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll represent an art thief. I don't know.
Ooh, that completely
it's a lawyer show.
Derailed
That
me, but I love everything about it.
Listen, there is one of my favorite Infinity comics. One of my favorite comics, period, is Natasha trying to steal a Fabergé egg.
Oh yes, I read this comic.
Very well done. And one of the best Natasha stories, the bar is on the floor, but one of the best Natasha stories. And I would love to see that incorporated in She-Hulk. That would be great.
Speaking of MCU, we have cool friends. One of which designed very cool merch.
Yes.
And this is the MCU. The Miss I can't turn my arms that far. But so shout out to Vic. We love. But yeah. A toast to the MCU and a toast to some other moments this week. I'm going to kick it off. My toast this week is to queer restroom posses. Yes. We love a restroom posse. We love a queer restroom posse.
They were iconic.
Beautiful. Probably my favorite moment of the episode. Marissa?
I would like to give a toast to sorry, I got distracted by the comments. That was
sorry.
No, I'm back on track. I would like to give a toast to cousins who actually love each other. Because while watching the episode, I was like, do other people love their cousins this much? Because I do. Like, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't go on a road trip with their cousin, just one-on-one, but like I would. So, shout out to my cousins.
Is straight cousins versus queer cousins. I love my.
That's actually that's a really important point.
Before I do my toast, I need to see what's on Marissa's cup because it's bothering me. Is it about being a dad?
No, it's about Michigan. Almost all of our cups are about Michigan.
Ah, okay. Awesome. Cool beans.
Love that.
It's also HOME is the like abbreviation or the whatever the word is for how you remember the 4 Great Lakes that Michigan touches. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie. So
very cool. I was going to be like, it spells home. Is that what you're about to tell me? Because that's what that word is.
Wait, did I lie? Did we not touch? Am I wrong? HOMES, homes, is how you remember all 5 Great Lakes. But I feel like we don't touch Ontario. I feel like we touch Superior. I think I lied. So ignore the home part. But yeah. Sorry.
This is the geography corner.
This has been niche Michigan knowledge
with Marissa.
Speaking of niche knowledge, Alexis, what's your toast to?
Cat shirts. It was a very good cat shirt, and I want it very badly.
Is it out there? Can you find it?
Yeah, hold on.
Marissa has a picture of it, and I'm going to search for it.
Beautiful.
I feel like you can find this like general idea quite a bit, but that cat was especially cute to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some of our friends have done videos about other shirts that were in this episode and their significance. So a toast to shirts.
Oh, I was like, what shirt? Yeah, you're right. Another plug for Victoria Organa.
Yeah.
Vic's getting all the shout outs this week. All right. That was our toasts. Mm-hmm. But of course, we're not all positive here. We have to have a little bit of a WTF, a little bit of a Hulk out moment, you might say.
Rebrand.
We're rebranding a segment
without Liz.
Don't tell her. It's a secret. All right. What are our WTF / Hulk out moments this week? Marissa?
Okay, I felt like I was supposed to go first, but nobody told me. So, Smart Hulk is like a dude, bro. Like he's a dick in a way that I feel like he has never been before. But also, like thinking back to Endgame, he kind of is. I just feel like it was viewed through like a filter of like fame in a weird way, like and like you know, to like taking selfies at breakfast and like dab or like whatever. But it's like it's a fun characterization, like as a way to like differentiate between like Banner and Smart Hulk. But he does kind of suck.
It was interesting to me because several times it has been said about other movies with the Hulk that at times the Hulk and Bruce Banner seemed like a self-insert for someone who was involved in the films. Mm-hmm. And I felt that in regards to Smart Hulk, that carried through, even though said person is no longer involved.
Uh-huh.
For sure.
Uh-huh. Especially the part where he was rolling on the ground whining about his bar.
Mm-hmm.
I have feelings about the bar. Alexis, what was your Hulk out moment this week?
My Hulk out moment, which I almost didn't mention, but was convinced to mention, was the assumption in the car that Steve Rogers lost his virginity to a woman. And it seemed to be the only thing they were discussing in the car. Like it was distinctly, I can't believe with all of those women, blah, blah, blah. And this keeps coming up in media. But I wish we would just all sit around and maybe think about what we know about men in war and what we know about World War II before we continue to make the assumption that that Steve Rogers could have only lost his virginity to a woman. I just
listen.
See,
I am choosing to live in denial. I do not agree with the fact that he lost his virginity.
I don't agree with you.
I don't believe it. Well, okay, here's the thing.
I believe that he lost it. I don't believe he lost it to a woman.
I don't really give a shit what happened, but I do think he's lying. I think
yes,
either Bruce is lying to Jen or Steve lied to Bruce. Steve Rogers is a liar. Steve Rogers is a big fat liar. I don't believe it at all. I'm sorry. Thank you. It is funny to say Captain America fucks though. Like that is funny.
Yeah. I appreciate the sentiment, but I disagree with the notion posed. I stand by.
I have some great fix for you then. I will send them to you as soon as we sign off here.
I think the problem with your assertion, Alexis, though, is that a lot of people don't know about World War II.
Well,
also fair.
More people need to watch our show. This is not the first time on this show I've been like, men in war. Fuck. So at some point, I guess I just assume everybody watches our show, ergo everyone knows.
Yeah. We are the most popular show in the world.
Yeah.
We are the news and we are the encyclopedia.
Someday
and we are informing the populace that men in war fuck.
I have this fear that one day one of us, Liz, will become famous enough that things about this show will be noticed. And it will be like the day I get my PhD that it will break across the internet that at one point I said, men in war fuck! Or Supermax prison. That's a really dumb prison. Like one of those great lines will be shared with the world.
Bucky does have a great point here that the MCU does not have a good track record with knowing about World War II.
Yeah.
Can I take this moment to plug something that Bucky did?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So Bucky and Danielle, and I think maybe another person that I wasn't as close with, sorry to that person, did some talkie with Variant Cover, which is a segment that the Washington Post has been doing on TikTok. I wanted to say Instagram, talking about Jewish representation in comics. And I think it maybe happened a second ago, but I saw it this week. So it was very exciting.
This most recent one was like 2 days ago. So
Okay,
you're
cool.
all caught up, bestie.
Very exciting. That
Yeah.
was super cool.
It's a very
I love
good
that
video.
segment, and I
Love that.
really loved seeing our friends in it.
Yeah,
We have such cool friends, y'all.
We too.
we really do.
All
Now
right.
what do we do?
Now
That ends up in
let's
the
chat
trailer
about
for the episode.
I am so bad about producing and hosting. Sorry, don't mind me.
You're doing great.
I was trying to find something, but I can't. There we go. Beautiful. Look at this having branding.
Oh my god.
Let's chat about the episode. I'm gonna kick this off. I have lots of thoughts on I'm just gonna read the first bullet point out for our lovely audience because yeah, I again tried to write this bullet point like you would title an academic paper. So it
That's
reads
Sly's new baseline.
I'm so sorry. Before we move on, JJ has made an excellent point. Bucky with the cake rolling up to tell us how Steve really lost his virginity.
Bucky with the cake is definitely going to make reoccurrence on our show memes after this episode for sure.
Yeah.
All right. My first bullet point tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne pathogens, gamma radiation, and the Hulk, or an argument on why the Hulk is in fact not sexually transmitted.
I don't know what half of those words mean. Like I have nothing to add to this portion of the conversation.
It
I'm
also
truly
included
just enthused by the way that your brain works.
What else did it include? Oh, no, it also included general fear from me because I took these notes like they were for myself alone. And I had a note about this, and I was like, if Slice prepared an entire dissertation based on my note, like, I am so sorry I did that to you. That was not necessary.
It was a joint effort. Okay, so we're watching this episode, right? And we start off, we see the car crash, we see the blood. The blood ends up on Jen, and that's what kickstarts this whole transformation, right? And so from that first presentation, a very valid conclusion for your first thought was bloodborne pathogen. Which, if you don't know what a bloodborne pathogen is, I'm sorry, Google it. But basically, it's transmitted via blood and most bodily fluids, depending on the type of pathogen, depends on which fluids it will live in enough to be transmitted. But that's like any genital excretion, any
bodily fluids coming out of
fluid, like amniotic fluids, spinal fluid, all of the fluids, sometimes saliva, depending on the life, right? So you see this blood to blood contact, and that kicks off, and you go, huh, bloodborne pathogen. And then we get into the science behind this, which is, it's superhero science. We're taking everything with a grain of salt. But from my understanding, the transmission wasn't from the blood. The transmission was from Hulk's blood. In it of itself contains gamma radiation. And because they are familiarly related, that's not the word, and you know what I mean. Because they have similar genes or whatever, when they are exposed to gamma radiation, their body undergoes a transformation that kickstarts the Hulk, right? So, based on this episode, you can infer that the transmission was of gamma radiation because she was exposed to the gamma radiation in the blood. That is what transformed her, and not the blood itself containing a pathogen for the Hulk. But yeah, I also had that initial conclusion, but I stand by this stance, and if they contradict me later, fuck them. I'm pretty sure I understood what they were putting down. But
I have never had a single critical thought about science. So I was just like, and she's a Hulk now, great!
That is so interesting to me, Marissa, because one of the things that I stood out to me in this episode, like in previous episodes of this show, we've talked about how at times the MCU seems like it's operating, like it's working under like an operating system from 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that the science bit in this to me was one of those, because I feel like science fiction now works harder to at least make some of the science work on paper, right? Like we have a lot of like references to like misunderstood theories of astrophysics, but like at least we made the reference. So I'm very glad that like Sly explained it, because now I'm like, oh, okay, they were doing just fine. Because in the episode, I was like, please tell me that's not where you're going with it. I also would like to point out that when Sly suggested everyone Google it, that would have been a great time for Alpine to come across the screen and, in the style of Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park, explain to children what bloodborne pathogens are.
Which is a pitch Alexis has given many times before on this show. I was just happy.
Let us know.
I was just happy that it was an accidental transmission instead of an intentional, like, that would have made no sense for where Bruce was or the MCU was in its... I was happy with car crash, accidental, whatever, moving on immediately. Like, I was like, great, we got it out of the way. That was whatever. Great. Thank you. Like, blood transfusion would have been... So I was fine with it. But I do not think about science ever at all any day.
Marissa is anti-science. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
No.
On that note,
it's scary, isn't it?
I believe in science. I just don't understand it. And I don't need to, because other people are much smarter than me and I trust them. Thank you. Moving on.
At some point, Brother Bobissa will run for office and it will break in the National Enquirer that Sister Bobissa does not believe in science.
Oh, he will never run for office. I would be the one running for office.
Oh. Sly and I will be on morning shows trying to explain that it was a joke.
Okay, well, 2 weeks ago you accused me of murder, so...
We'll do the whole gambit of press for you.
Really, what is more important here is that she's a murderer. It's not that she doesn't believe in science. You're focusing on the wrong thing.
Jesus Christ. I love y'all so much. Oh, with that, let's talk about this transformation we got going on. We got a very solid comparison between the Hulk we know and I was gonna say know and love, but I'm just gonna stick with know.
Yeah.
The Hulk we know and the Hulk we love. There we go.
Yeah.
Got there eventually. Yeah, let's talk about She-Hulk and what we think about the differences and how she transforms, the appearance, the abilities. I have a bone to pick. And I'm gonna start it off with I really wish she kept her hair when hulking out.
Thank you.
Okay. I was really scared, and I feel like it will still happen. I was really scared that we were gonna get a like curly to straight evolution of like, oh my god, your hair's so pretty now. Like, you know, how in every 2000s transformation movie they give the girl with curly hair a blowout. So I was really worried we were going to get like some sort of that. And I feel like we kind of might still with the general energy of this show. But I don't understand why she couldn't keep her texture. Like, I do understand. Yeah. I understand the likely explanation is that it is simply more difficult to animate. But I wish her hair didn't like, I understand why it grows and I understand why it has more volume.
Length. Yeah, I like the length, but I really wish we could have kept some of that texture.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can expect a video coming to my TikTok on it very soon.
Love to see it. But overall appearance, besides the hair, how are we feeling?
Well, she is modeled after a real 6'7" woman, which is cool. They had a 6'7" stand-in for She-Hulk during production, which is fun. Other than that, I don't really care. I think she's cool.
Yeah, I think she looks great. I think okay, I had 2 bones to pick. I lied to you all. I'm sorry. The other issue I had with her appearance wasn't the her actual skin, it was how smooth it was. Like, there was no texture at all. And comparing that directly to Hulk, whose skin has lots of texture, was a little jarring to me. It felt too much like a very smooth woman, no arm hair ever, blah, 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 blah. That I didn't really vibe with. But I thought the color looked fine.
Yeah. I don't really understand why her hair is green and why Bruce's hair. I mean, I do understand because that's her comics design, but I don't really get why her hair turns green and his doesn't. The cut and like length of both of their hair changes, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Most of my thoughts about her appearance were about her hair, and we've covered that. So I think she looks great.
Yeah. We had a comment earlier from Dre saying the origin story over in 25 minutes was a great choice. I agree.
Yeah.
I really appreciated. I think some of you guys had different feelings about the fight scene. I really appreciated it. I thought it was very definitive, like, hey, this is everything she can do, and she can beat up the Hulk, and we're just gonna leave it at that. Deal with it.
Yeah, it was a very effective way of establishing her abilities and competency very quickly. In a way that sometimes takes a whole movie or 6 episodes. Like, they got it done in 20 minutes, which I think was very smart and a very clear illustration that is not what this show is about. They also fight like children for most of that fight, which I thought was just really entertaining. Like,
it definitely had family vibes.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Alexis?
Now disagree with me, please.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I think one of the things that bothered me about the fight was that it felt like all of that kind of competitiveness between them, to me, felt 3 times as long as the car crash into the blood, into becoming the Hulk. Like, and so that made the pacing feel off. And I think it was the experience of watching the episode was a little disjointed to me. and I feel like this is a criticism that's been made in regards to the comics. I think the comics at times have strived to fix it in a way that the show has kind of ignored. But I do think this appearance of She-Hulk has aspects in her appearance specifically that could arguably be a little male gazy. I think especially when you compare what she transforms to look like to what Bruce transforms to look like in the Hulk, right? And so there were moments like during the yoga into the fight, that all of that I didn't really feel like I was connecting to it because I was still kind of stuck on that. And I think a lot of that did have to do with her hair. I think that if her, you know, her lawyer persona does seem a little more like nerdy, and I think it was a really direct choice to change that when she becomes the Hulk. And so I was kind of stuck on that during the fight. But mostly for me, it was kind of a pacing thing. And I think any time, to me, even though we view it and see it as definitive, like I think we can agree that this episode is like anything that we feel is definitive in this episode, as you put it earlier, Marissa, has still been a point of discourse. And so that was the only thing to me, is like, it's never going to be definitive. So to make it such a big chunk of the show, I was just interested in why that choice was made and what the motivation behind that choice was.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah. I don't know, because I want to like believe and hope, because while obviously the creatives of the show understand the audience scope of the broader MCU, I think it's also very clear that they're speaking to a specific audience within that, and even maybe outside of the audience of the broader MCU. So I would like to believe that they intentionally, or at least intended for it to be definitive, even if they understood that it would continue to be a point of contention anyway. So like, I would like to say that it's because they were doing their best to set up their character in good faith, but I'm not in the room as much as I would like to be. Hire me, please. Thank you. Yeah.
On the thought of definitive choices they've made about connecting things to the broader MCU, I skipped over my WTF moment of the week, so I'm going to circle back to that real quick. I was so disappointed by the choice for this bar, the safe house area, to be in Mexico and for it not to be Tahiti. Because we pull up on that beach shot and I immediately thought, is this Tahiti? Because that would have been so funny to me. I think that would have been a brilliant way to tie it in. And this is just further proving that the creatives at Marvel want to destroy and distance and remove themselves from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as much as possible, and I won't stand for it. I will not stand for it. I am so disappointed that the bar was in Mexico, because it would have been so brilliant and funny to have that connection to Tahiti. Like, if you've seen, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you understand that. And if not, it doesn't matter. Tahiti is a magical place, and you don't need to know why. It's fine. You can just accept it.
But can I add just like a logistical point?
Mm-hmm.
Mexico is very close to Los Angeles, and she lives in Los Angeles.
Valid point. I don't care. I want Tahiti being a magical place.
Okay. And if it's magical, does it need to be logical?
No.
Maybe Bruce has like a door, and you
Marissa.
open the door and it just magically transports you to Tahiti.
Listen, we haven't reached the magical realism point of this show yet.
Yet. We'll get
Yet.
there.
Well, yeah, because we know Wong is showing up. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Wong is showing up. I probably should have saved that for after I transitioning to another Sly rant.
No,
But here we are. I guess
You're
I'm
in
taking over the
charge.
show.
You can do whatever you want.
I'm in charge. My next point for our discussion for this episode also has to do with the broader MCU and Marvel in general. Let's talk about the Hulk and all of his appearances on screen that we've seen so far. Listen, I know what you're saying. Okay, the first Hulk is like barely related. The 2008 Hulk, barely related, is going to be your argument. Listen, I understand that, but hear me out. There is a case to make that 2003 is technically the same Hulk. And I know it's a stretch, but we're sticking with it here. 2003 Hulk. First of all, if you have not seen it, great movie. Go watch it. Then go watch the MC University about it. We have lots of things to say about it. It's great, right? Okay. 2003's Hulk does something very interesting with the backstory of Hulk about his childhood and how we connect to it. 2008 Hulk, technically kind of related, right? We're keeping that thread. So in theory, that's the same backstory. And 2008 Hulk leads into the MCU, as we know, right? So with that little red string, right? There was such an opportunity here in this show, in this first episode, with a little bit of language tweaks, keeping the same idea. They really could have pulled off a pretty solid DID storyline here. And the connection with like dissociative identity disorder and Hulk in the comics is like this whole conversation. We don't have to get into all that. But 2003's Hulk, you can make an argument that it meets the criteria for all of the development of DID in a pretty decent way. And they don't necessarily touch on that, but it's a valid reading of that story, right? And here, they were so close. And there were just like a couple lines that I was like, wow, if you chose a different word there, you could have tied it right back to 2003 in a very simple, easy way to make that connection. And I just don't know why they didn't, right? What's the harm in that? Alexis, do you have any thoughts?
I'm trying to decide if I should say it or not.
I
would
can
like to say, some may say it would have been a better presentation of DID than we got in Moon Knight.
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly where I was going with this.
I would also like to say, I believe, and somebody can go back and watch the episode and like correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an episode of What If that really seemed to Liz and I upon viewing it to recanonize the 2003 Hulk. Like there were very like specific references made to that version of the Hulk. And since that appeared at What If, our conversation at the time was, well, I guess we're trying to secure that Hulk's place in canon, or it wouldn't have been included in What If.
You want to know what's really fun?
Yeah.
This whole portion of the conversation is just elevator music in my head because I've never seen any of the Hulk movies.
I'm just here like is the Ed Norton Hulk, right? I'm not wrong about that. Is Ed Norton in
No,
that?
that's 2008.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I was introduced to the only Hulk I know is Mark Ruffalo. So
it's the Eric Bana.
Gotcha. All right. With you now. Yeah.
That one's really great. You got a lot of Stan Lee talking in that one, So, you know, that's a plus. Go watch 2003 Hulk. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great time. But yeah, just because you have that backstory, right? And you have this episode that was legitimately so close to connecting all of it. And if you had like a single person in the room who could have, you know, called that out, I think it would have had such a powerful impact through the show. So I was just a little disappointed with that. I fully agree with Bucky that we should call Jen the Hulk and Bruce the He Hulk. That has very much and calling the NBA the Men BA, which I am a huge fan of. We love the Men BA, and He Hulk has a similar vibe. So I am all on that train.
Portions of the cast and crew, I guess, have been calling him that in press, which I greatly enjoy.
Love that. All right, I ranted for a long time, so I'm gonna throw it over to you two. I just titled this bullet point "The Feminism Monologue TM." So let's have a little feminist minute of the week. Marissa?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love Jen Walters, and I love her sort of the conceit of her as She-Hulk, that she doesn't have to do all of this work on herself because women have to do this work on themselves every single day. And I think she synthesizes that very clearly in her conversation with Bruce. And I think I posted a video about this earlier today. There's this conversation about her little speech where it's either too heavy-handed and pandering and talking down to the audience, or is an important message that needs to be heard. And I think that both of those things can coexist. There can be audience members that find it pandering and talking down. And I mean, as a woman, it was a little bit like, I can't believe we have to say this out loud. Like, don't people understand this already? But as a viewer that understands the cultural significance and broader impact of the MCU on like general society, like the MCU has become such a cultural like monolith at this point, essentially, that like you can't really, it's like Harry Potter. Like, you can't exist without knowing what Hogwarts is, or knowing, like, everybody says like collecting X, like Infinity Stones, even if they've never seen a Marvel movie. Like, the cultural significance of the MCU like cannot be denied. And so it's valuable to have a statement like that in the MCU. And like, it can be pandering while also being incredibly significant for a broad portion of the audience who maybe have never heard it synthesized that way before. So that's what I want to say, and I don't have a jumping off point for anyone else to contribute to the conversation. I don't know. Go for it.
I have
go
one.
for it.
So one of the things that I think is really interesting is that in this episode we get a kind of misrepresentation of DBT, I would argue. But one of the really interesting aspects of DBT, and one of the aspects they managed to get right in the presentation in the show, is that it is about holding two truths at the same time. This is something I do with my therapist every week, right? And so I find it fascinating that we had that moment in the show, right? Like, you can hold two truths at the same time, and immediately the discourse after the show was pitting these two truths against each other, right? Where it, to me, was very clearly like, and that was such a kind of odd, heavy-handed moment, the DBT moment to like put in the show, that I thought that was such a clear takeaway. It didn't make a lot of sense to me that then the discourse, I mean, it did, but like that then the discourse was pitting things against each other. It was a little ironic. And the only other thing I'll say is there's a lot of discourse. See how many times Alexis can say discourse. There's a lot of discourse around the show about the lawyer shows it was based on. And Law and Order came up quite a bit. I am not a Law and Order person. But to me, this episode in particular more clearly resembled Ally McBeal, which was a show that for its time did a lot of work for its time to be a feminist forward-facing show. And so I thought that was an interesting touch, especially in the fourth wall breaks as well, that was kind of the direct visual representation they were making, as if to say, like, we are relating this show to other, feminist shows that have come before it.
I believe Ally McBeal was brought up as a reference, like directly by the creatives. I haven't, if you would look at the production brief, I have not read the full thing. I've just watched a little bit of press, but I do believe that was a direct reference point. Something that was also a direct reference point was Fleabag, and just like sort of within this feminist rant, I would like to say, do not expect that you are watching Fleabag when you watch She-Hulk. I feel like, at least where it stands now, again, it's only been one episode of 9. Like, there's a lot to come. But I do not believe that the fourth wall breaks serve the same purpose that they do within the context of Fleabag. Within the context of Fleabag, it is very much a internal monologue played to the audience rather than a narrative device to the audience. And I think from what we've seen from the fourth wall breaks, this is more a let me explain how I got here kind of thing, with added commentary rather than this is what's happening in the moment, this is what I'm actually thinking. I turned away from the microphone. This is what I'm actually thinking. So that's my tangential point about references and I'm done now. Sorry.
You're fine. The next thing I was going to do is mansplain, but,
Please do.
As the non-woman here, when I approached the feminism monologue, right, I was like, my first gut reaction was like, yeah, okay, we get it. And then my second reaction was, oh, right, that's not for me, right? It is, like, not presented in a way to be empowering to me, like it might be empowering to other people, and it's also not something I need explained to me, because as somebody who was socialized as a girl for a solid amount of my life, I experienced that, so I understand that. Now I experience a very different brand of fearing for my life, which is, fun times. But that's the thing. I commented this on your video, Marissa. If it felt like it was heavy-handed, good. That means it wasn't targeted to you, right? You understand those concepts and you can take it in and move on with your life. It is for the people who don't understand those concepts and need it thrown in their face for them to even conceptualize that this might be somebody's lived experience. Yeah. And that was my mansplaining women's experience to women. Let's move on.
I don't think that's what you did. And I think you did a great job.
And I do think, I will just vaguely say that there was some discourse this week from people who were discovering the things in this monologue for the first time, as if they
Yeah.
had never heard of them before. And so to me, that kind of goes back to your point, Sly. Like, if it was heavy-handed to you, it wasn't for you. It was for the people who have come into adulthood having no clue that women have this type of lived experience.
Yeah. I also think it's heavy-handed in that it like very clearly and very quickly establishes like the lived experience of every woman, but it also serves as a very quick explanation for Jen's whole deal as She-Hulk. It's like both this is what it's like to be a woman and this is why I'm so good at being a Hulk. So it has to serve two purposes in a way. Like, I don't understand. I don't really see how that could have not been heavy-handed. I don't really know how that could have been communicated in the time that it was, like, any other way, basically.
Well, and I would argue if it wasn't, that then we would have those questions for the rest of the series. That then the discourse would be like, well, why is she so good at being a Hulk? And why does she get like, why don't the things that make Hulk angry make her angry, right? And so this episode was very clearly designed to answer a bunch of questions so we could move on. And I think...
And I love that they framed the episode exactly like that, right? We get that first fourth wall break, and it's, you won't pay attention, you'll have all these questions unless we get all this backstory out of the way. And then we got all the backstory out of the way, and we're moving on.
Right.
On the note of the opening and the closing, let's hop into a little subsection called Lawyer Corner. If you were avid fans of the What If after parties, like I was, there was a little segment that came up that was called Plumbing Corner. You're welcome for that. I wanted to bring it back, throw a little twist on it. So this is Lawyer Corner, where we talk about all the lawyerly things that we see in the episode and how we feel about it. We got, of course, her practicing the closing remarks, and then at the very end of the episode, we got her attempt to start the closing remarks. How do we feel about the lawyering that happened within this episode?
There wasn't a lot for a lawyer show. But see, I knew that this Lawyer Corner was coming when I wrote my notes. And so I have Lawyer Corner moments in my notes that have nothing to do with the actual lawyering on the show. So I would like to read some of them now.
Absolutely. Take it away.
Let me find them first. I did not highlight them before this. I'm sorry that I said a lot of harsh but very true things. Wow, an apology that still doubles down on the things you're apologizing for. Very lawyerly. That was a quote of a conversation between Jen and Bruce. I just thought that was very funny. I come from a family of lawyers who believe I should be a lawyer, and that is something that they would say to me any day of the week. And then immediately following that, during the courtroom fight, the score underneath it was very lawyer show. It felt very much inspired by Law and Order opening credits. I think that was my Lawyer Corner. Yeah.
My favorite lawyer moment was her just punching straight through that entire closing remarks statement, completely ignoring any unwanted and unnecessary feedback happening beside her. And that was my favorite just lawyer moment of tuning everything out and sticking to my guns.
It's a little wordy. Smile more. Who the fuck needs to smile during their closing arguments? What the hell?
Women, that's who.
Yeah.
you're trying to present yourself as an authority figure, and you're not trying to be likable. You're trying to be factual and well, not factual, but convincing.
Convincing.
You're giving
You're
an
trying to be
argument.
compelling.
You're not asking someone out on a date. What the fuck? Sorry, that should have been in the feminist rants portion.
You're good. You can rant wherever you'd like to.
I hate that man, and I will never learn his name. I just will refuse to.
He's a bad lawyer. Why do we need to give him any attention?
I mean, I
don't
may
know.
have paid attention to him if he smiled more.
Ooh.
I love you all so much. All right. Overall, I feel pretty good about this show and where it's going. I'm definitely not on the this is a Sly show train, right? But overall, I'm here for it. It feels pretty solid. Yeah. Marissa, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I was sold on this show the second I saw a promo in the style of Law and Order.
Mm-hmm.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there are it was so good.
So good.
I was like, well, they understand who they're selling it to, and that's me. So I'm feeling really good. I'm excited for more Jamila Jamil. We got a split second of her. I'm a little nervous about what seems to be an American accent that she's doing. But you know, I feel like usually I have a little bit more of an understanding of where these Marvel shows are trying to go after the first episode. I don't feel like I have that with this show. I think probably because it is just more drawn out than the like usual 6 episodes. And hopefully is more structured like an actual TV show instead of a 6-episode movie. But I don't really know where we go from here, and I don't really care to try and guess. I think a lot of what we've seen in promos has already been shown to us. Like it's most of what we know has happened already. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next.
I think it would be cool for this show, though, just to be like episodic.
Yes.
Like it may not be my show, but I would be fine with a show in this style doing like 23 episodes, like a Law and Order, and it just being episodic. Like I know we're not getting that, but that kind of vibe I would be fine with. I don't need it to have like a complicated through plot.
One of the sort of, I don't know that I would say it's a key message, but one of the themes that has been coming up in the press, weirdly more from the interviewers than the actual interviewees, creatives, whatever, is that it's the in-between moments of the MCU. So it's more day-to-day life, more, what happens between like Avengers level threats kind of thing, which is, if you have seen almost any of my TikTok videos, is exactly what I'm interested in understanding. I only have pedantic questions about the MCU, and I'm hoping I might get some answers about what superheroes do in their downtime.
Well, and I think the MCU, and perhaps a decade too late, has been working to add a lot of diversity as far as like the types of leads we see in projects, and including people of color and minorities and all of those wonderful things. But I think it would also be great to continue to see diversity in the way that their content is presented. And I think this show gives a solid, clear option for them to start really hitting home that like their projects are going to be diverse in format as well.
And you said, Alexis, that you would like to see a more episodic, less big, long, drawn out. I would go as far to say I would prefer to see that. That is exactly what I want. I've seen too much of the long drawn out. I want much more contained stories from this, and I think we're gonna get it. Bunky does pose a very interesting point about whether the interviewers are projecting that onto the show because it's women led, and it can hold the same weight.
Well, and I'll say one of my, and I think it's Marissa and I that have talked about this off mic, perhaps, that one of my hesitancies in regards to the show going forward has been that there has been a lot of discussion about cameos. And there was a conversation on TikTok that happened where, and I honestly don't remember who it was, but somebody said, I don't know why people are talking about cameos. Cameos aren't important. And I would argue that they are. I would argue that cameos, especially of other male characters in the MCU, seem to be added more to female-led shows as a way to draw in an audience they don't think they're going to get from a female-led show. I do think that is important to talk about. I don't think that is particularly fair. I think She-Hulk gets away with it, or will get away with it, because she is a lawyer to Marvel. And so that it kind of sets the stage for there to be a lot of cameos. But I've been adamant since the beginning of their Disney Plus projects that they need to move away from including male cameos in these female-led shows, because it takes away Hawkeye from the female center of the story. And, this is an episode that was as much, focused on Hulk as it was He-Hulk, right? He played a big role in this episode to introduce her into the MCU.
Too much about Tony Stark grief. Too much.
Yes.
I don't need to know he's your
Very
best friend.
Fruity.
Yeah.
That
very gay. Men
so
in war.
gay.
But
Men in Mexico
or Tahiti or wherever you want them to be. So I think in regards to Bunky's quote, like, those are both things that we need to we as the general, we need to be aware of moving forward.
I also had a point on this and it's escaping me. No, I also think, yes, I remember. To your point, Alexis, about the cameos. I mean, that's kind of like, we literally got a button in one of the promos of Jen to camera saying, remember whose show this is. Like, they understand, at least within the smaller scope of the creatives of She-Hulk, understand that it's going to become an issue. And so I think if we can recognize that and recognize that publicly and try and help recenter the focus of what this is actually about, like, that will be important. And I do have the image with the caption of her saying, remember whose show this really is, saved in my camera roll for any moment I need it.
I love that for you. Overall, just how are we feeling about this episode and the show going forward? I would give this a 4 out of 5 Alpines.
Yeah,
Where am I?
I'm not allowed to give half Alpines, so I'll give it a 4.
You can give it a 5, but 1 without accessories.
Accessories, yeah.
Okay.
Or you can give it a 4 with extra accessories. I will also allow that.
Yeah. 5, but one of them is naked.
Okay. That was a weird way to phrase that, for sure.
5 with 1 naked Alpine. Love that for you.
I don't like that at all, but that's fine.
Alexis, are you also at a 4?
I would give it a 4 with some extra bedazzle.
Okay.
Extra treats. 4 with extra treats.
Love that for us. We'll see how we rank this moving forward. But overall, very positive.
Yeah.
Strong start.
I did also want to say one more thing. It's funny. It's a comedy that is funny. Whereas I didn't know Hawkeye was a comedy until it submitted as a comedy for the Emmys.
I still forget.
So I was like crying laughing on my first viewing. So I hope it continues to be as funny as it
Bro, how'd you not get that?
was.
Bro?
Bruh.
And that makes sense from Marissa being our in-house comedy fan and Alexis and I going, I don't get comedy.
What? It was
so
funny.
tracks.
Literally the way I forgot Only Murders in the Building was a comedy until I did one of these with Marissa, and she was like, well, because it's funny. And I'm like,
I was like, well, it could just be a joke.
in real time, my brain's like, oh, okay.
So we got 4 Alpines from Sylvan. We got 4 Alpines and a taco from JJ. I co-signed this. That's a good
4
scale.
Alpines and a Home Depot purchased tortilla warmer.
Oh God! If you're a new viewer, I'm so sorry. You're gonna need like a dictionary to understand.
There's two of the cats I follow. They have this like pinned video that's just like everything you need to know about Veronica and the baby boo, and it's all the inside jokes that like new viewers don't get. I feel like we need to have like everything you need to know.
Yeah,
we'll throw the after party.
Somebody write that down in content ideas. Thank you. But with that, I think we're wrapping it up on this episode. So thank you all so very much for hanging out with us, talking all about Only Murders and She-Hulk. We'll be back next week for the Only Murders in the Building finale. Liz will be back. It will be marvelous. I won't have to host. We love that for us. Thank you. I enjoy it on occasion, right? It's a fun little foray, but I do very much enjoy when Liz gets to be the host as well. But until we see each other, I say this like we're not going to see each other immediately afterwards. Until we see each other again, where can the people find you on the interwebs? Marissa is raising her hand.
Well, I just wanted to say that for me, as a person who never hosts this show, when Sly hosts, it's like when you have a babysitter. like but it's your favorite babysitter. Like your parents like go out for the night and you're like, oh yeah, Sly's coming over. I
had a nightmare that I hosted, and I was the babysitter that would just sit on their phone the whole time. Like it was mass chaos everywhere else. That was what it looked like.
Like you love your parents, but you also love your babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes, just sometimes. It's a nice surprise. Sorry, I'm supposed to be promoting myself. My name is Marissa.
Promotion is I
you
really love Sly.
All about how much you love me. I'm fine with that. I'll let you.
I would like to promote Sly. No, they're gonna do that themselves.
We should someday do it where everybody has to do somebody else's ending spiel.
Oh, that would be really good. That would be really good. I'm not prepared to do that right now. Okay. But my name is Marissa. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Missabobissa. I talk about theater and wigs and almost anything available on Disney Plus. I think that's all I'm supposed to say. If you're a replayer, get in the comments. We love to see you. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at AfterPartyShow. I spend too much time working on it.
Marissa, of course, makes all of the amazing memes you see on our socials. So please go hype them up and let us know how much you love Marissa's brilliance, because we certainly appreciate it quite a bit.
Speaking of, hype up Sly and all of our YouTube thumbnails that they build.
Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo.
Appreciate
Make us
you.
look real good.
I hate that you're saying nice things about me.
I know.
Alexis, take it
You
away, please.
said you can keep saying nice things about me. And I was
You
like,
encourage this
fucking
behavior.
when? Why does Marissa get to do that and I don't get to?
I was
Anyway,
trying to put on a facade of being able to take a
Alexis.
compliment, okay? Alexis, you don't have to expose me like this.
I'm Alexis. I had a TikTok that was called @AlexisBlakeReadsComics, and you can still find it. It has a bunch of MCU stuff on it. You can also find me @JustAlexisBlake, where I talk about all the other stuff in my life, including cats and grad school and my pretty clothes and neurospiciness. I build absolutely nothing for our show. Because I am sadly the Eddie Diaz of this operation, and I do not know how to work anything but occasionally Twitter. But I do read all the comments, so leave those so I'll feel good and happy about our show. And I was going to say something else and I can't remember what it was. So goodbye.
And of course, I've been your host this week, but our regular host is the fearless @producer Liz on Instagram and TikTok, on Twitter @producer Liz with two. This is gonna pain me. 2 Z's. You're welcome. And
Queen.
you can find myself. No longer on TikTok Live, RIP. But you can find me on Point in Progress everywhere, and another podcast on Point in Progress called MC University, where I talk all about the non-MC Marvel movies. It's a great time. Come hang out. And @CycloneMC everywhere on the internet. I'm going through a phase where I don't touch social media, so like there's thoughts there occasionally, but maybe not often. So come hang out.
But that is where you can find all of the other things that you're doing on the internet. You're very good about promoting yourself, even if you don't.
You're
say
really
other
great,
things.
Sly, at doing social media stuff and promotion and being involved.
I just feel like there's a lot of self-deprecation happening right now, and we need to lift it back up.
These may be the most insane closings we have ever done.
I'm gonna just let y'all keep talking and hard close the show, and you're never gonna know when this broadcast is gonna end. So go ahead, keep riffing. I dare you.
Follow us everywhere at After Party Show. Please.
Please, indeed. Love y'all. Bye.